An interesting side event under the theme Promoting Nutritious Food Systems in the Pacific Value Chain Coordination and Agricultural Innovation Platforms was organized at the conference room of the Melanesian Hotel in Port-Vila on Tuesday, 17 October 2017, day 2 of the PWA 2017 from 1:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. The first part of the workshop was about promoting nutritious food systems in the Pacific Value Chain Coordination. 7 out of the 10 countries with the highest prevalence of obesity and diabetes in the world are in the Pacific, contributing to the rapid rise of non-communicable disease (NCDs) in the region. The Pacific Islanders traditionally depended on crop production and fishing to sustain their daily diets and livelihood. However, today, food and nutrition security, health, and incomes are being threatened by a decline in agricultural production, overfishing or illegal fishing, a change of dietary habits, an increased dependence on imported processed food, youth unemployment, the volatility in international markets, and the limitations in terms of policy, financial, and institutional environment. And as the population of the Pacific Islands is expected to double in 2050, it will put further strain on the agri-food and health systems. Therefore, in the campaign of establishing effective agri-food value chains in the Pacific Island states, the Technical Center for Agricultural and Rural Cooperation (CTA), the European Union, the ACP Group, the International Fund for Agricultural Development (IFAD), and the Pacific Islands Private Sector Organization (PIPSO) have engaged together in supporting the concept of promoting nutritious food systems in the Pacific value chain through regional projects and also through training in regional events such as the first ever edition of the Pacific Week of Agriculture 2017, which was held in Port-Vila, Vanuatu from October 16th to 20th, 2017. In his presentation, the first speaker, Patrick Polakzek from the EU delegation based in Fiji, spoke about the perspective and opportunities of the agri-value chain development within the Pacific Island states. He added that in terms of funding, the agri-value chain development has become a priority for the European Commission in the region. Judith Ann Francis, the CTA Senior Program Coordinator, Science and Technology Policy and Project Leader, spoke about the promotion of nutritious food systems in the Pacific with an overview of the CTA IFAD PIPSO project on the value chain coordination and establishing an agriculture innovation platform in the Pacific. The program manager of the Pacific Islands Farmers Association Network, PIFON, who was one of the speakers during the workshop, Mrs. Lavinia Kaumai-Totoya from Fiji, made an interesting presentation. She spoke about the priority nutrition-sensitive value chains in Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu. PIFON has carried out multiple analyses on various agricultural produce value chains in the Pacific, from the farms to the agri-processors and down to the consumers. In Fiji, PIFON did an analysis on the fresh papaya and banana value chain and mapped their activities. In the Solomon Islands, they did an analysis of the fresh cut pineapple food chain. In Samoa, they chose the green coconut food chain. No one has ever analyzed and mapped the actors in regard to those commodities in the past. And as they mapped the actors, they could see the links and the breakages in the different value chains. Mrs. Kaumai-Totoya spoke about some of the key lessons learned out of those surveys.
Some of the key lessons that we have learned from this analysis. There is a perception that imported food is better than our local food. It's the fashion. It's also the fashion to eat imported food, not local food. Our youths, our children, prefer to feed on imported foods because it's a fashion trend. So we are losing many of our traditional and our local nutritious foods. And the sad thing also is that imported food is cheaper. It's easier to prepare and it's cheaper. So for a domestic, for a working mother like me, hey, it's easier to pick up something that's already prepackaged and prepared than for me to sit down and actually, peel cassava or taro. And if I'm doing it, the rest of the Pacific is also doing it as well. Another thing that we found in our study is that the domestic market is not normally looked at as important. There is so much emphasis on exports. A lot of the programs that we work in are export oriented. But we forget our domestic population population and our domestic consumption.
She added that the challenge today is to introduce convenience into the local produce so that people can start buying our local product. She mentioned that inappropriate labeling is one of the issues that need to be dealt with.
Inappropriate labeling. A great example is coconut oil. In the Pacific, we have coconut oil readily available, but everyone buys soybean oil, corn oil, yada yada oil, yada yada oil. We don't even trust our coconut oil. Again, it's just its perception and it's the labeling. But all of this can be corrected thanks to value chain analysis that is bringing this out. Sugary drinks, again, it's fashionable to drink the Cokes, the Sprites, but not the green coconut. You know, I have a son and I asked him, what are you going to drink? Can you climb the coconut for me? He goes, Mom, can you just drink? You know, and it's easier for him to go to the fridge and pick up something that's already prepared instead of climbing a tree or hooking it for a green coconut. But that's the life that we're living in today. And then in the school food programs, school canteens, they sell what is appropriate and what is very convenient to children. What happens is when that's done, it doesn't cover nutrition. We need to also, when we were doing this, we realized that in order to encourage nutritious local food to be eaten, we have to encourage quality planting material to our farmers. The spin-off benefits of utilizing local food will be tremendous in the domestic market. And then most importantly, which is what a lot of the hotels complain about, farmers cannot produce because of the seasonality. Okay, we need to work with our farmers to ensure that there is an all-year-round season.
P1 recommended that there is a need for a major awareness campaign through all the media outlets to tell the public in the Pacific about what is happening. Mrs. Kaumai Totoya emphasized that we need to promote our local food. We need to reverse the wrong perception that imported food is better than our local food. We need to tell our people that our local traditional food is better, nutritious, healthier, and cheaper. Tevita Ravumaindama, the project manager of the Partnership in High Value Agriculture project in Fiji, made an interesting presentation about the lessons learned from the IFAD projects in Fiji and specifically in terms of building synergies. There were also other speakers from the Solomon Islands and from Tonga who shared their experience concerning projects carried out in their respective countries. In his brief intervention during the workshop, Ron Hartman, the IFAD Country Director for Indonesia and the Pacific region, spoke about the involvement of the organization in various areas of the value chain within the agriculture sector in the region. He pointed out that nutrition is an important aspect of agriculture that IFAD has to take into consideration in its project and efforts to improve the farmers' financial capacity and literacy, linking them to markets and helping them to scale up their production. The second part of the workshop and the next session on Wednesday morning, 18 October 2017, was focused on the establishment of agricultural innovation platforms in the Pacific region. As part of the training exercise, the participants from the Pacific, along with their counterparts from the Caribbean and Africa, were divided into separate groups and came up with different hypothetical scenarios of farmers with all kinds of challenges, for instance, in terms of geographic isolation, lack of internet or telecommunication connectivity, or access to market and ICT, or furthermore, farmers with lack of financial literacy and support or education background. After listing down the challenges of the hypothetical scenarios, the participants also listed down the motivations and triggers that are keeping those farmers in their efforts to grow their business in the agriculture sector. In his opening keynotes, the director of the Technical Center for Agricultural and Rural Cooperation, CTA, Michael Ailu, mentioned that CTA was happy to partner with SPTO, PIPSO, IFAD and the government of Vanuatu in advancing the agenda of agritourism in the region, but also by addressing and taking into account the nutrition aspect of agriculture and to help linking smallholder farmers to markets.